So, well, I call it compliance nirvana. We're a London-based company focusing on documents. We have been part of Barclays Accelerator. We won the BBVA Open Talent Challenge. One of our use cases is in and around policy management, which falls squarely into the reg tech bucket, so to speak. Obviously, financial crisis, fall of Lehman, Bernie Madoff, all these things, I think has constituted there's a need for accountability, control, risk management, and all these things that have come out of it. Over 200 regulatory changes every day on a global scale. So, as a global bank, how are you going to manage that? Well, they have thrown people and consultants at it, but that's not really sustainable. They spent $321 billion on regulatory change and compliance, including fines, which is a big source of that, since the financial crisis. I want to talk about what I call a regulatory ecosystem. Some people know what I mean about that. Some people might it's a legacy approach, and then there's the kind of ecosystem approach to it. So how does this relate then to a regulatory ecosystem? You have typically three components. You have a team called regulatory monitoring. They receive then all the regulatory feeds in from any changes happening in the world. So the FCA, Monetary Authority of Singapore, you have all the different regulatory bodies, and they change things all the time. Referring back to the study, that there's about 200 changes a day. If that's a change is decided to be made, well, that needs to be reflected in our policies across the bank. Policies, standards, procedure documents, etc. And then on the back of that, you have the internal compliance, the risk and controls, the KYC, so know your customer, and the monitor money laundering, transaction, transparency in transaction, MiFID II, these kind of things. Because there's a lot of manual and mundane work being done on that part. If the poor compliance officer is not experienced, having a bad day, making a plain mistake, that has a significant operational or business risk for the bank, and this happens all the time. What if you can connect all of that? Automatically, there's a regulatory change, automatically can tell you in which policies, in which area of which policies and procedures and all these kind of things, where do I actually need to apply those changes? Does that mean we need to change processes around here on the back end? That is all manually done today, but can be connected together, and this is something that we are working on, not alone, of course. Something like horizon scanning. So what are people talking about? What are influencers talking about? What are regulators saying in speeches, but is not instituted into regulation just yet? What about legal precedents? What is happening in one jurisdiction in the US versus Europe versus Asia? Could you foresee a regulatory change happening, and could you do an immediate stress test on your organization to see if this regulation changes, what effects does it have on costs, on people, on systems?